Have you ever felt that the deeper you think, the more difficult it becomes to truly connect with others? At first, it may feel like a personal problem, as if something were wrong with you. But when you look at history and psychology, you begin to realize that this sense of distance is not just your imagination. It is part of the human condition. Society has always struggled with people who think too deeply, not because they are wrong, but because they reveal truths that others would rather avoid. When we look back at some of the greatest minds of history, the pattern is unmistakable. Socrates spent his life asking questions, forcing people to confront their ignorance. Instead of gratitude, he was given a cup of poison. Galileo looked through his telescope and saw that the Earth is not the center of the universe. His punishment was house arrest for the rest of his life. Nikola Tesla dreamed of a world powered by free energy, and though he changed history with his inventions, he died alone and poor. The names change, the centuries change, but the story repeats. Brilliant thinkers are misunderstood, silenced, or ignored. Why does this keep happening? The answer lies deep within psychology. Human beings can admire physical strength without feeling personally attacked. We can envy wealth without collapsing into despair. But intelligence is different. When someone shows physical superiority, we might see a protector or an athlete. When someone has more money, we might imagine that one day we could achieve something similar. But when someone demonstrates a level of thought far beyond our own, it doesn't just highlight what they can do, it exposes what we cannot do. And that feels like an attack on our very identity. This phenomenon is sometimes called the mirror effect. A deep thinker holds up a mirror, not to flatter, but to reveal limitations, and most people cannot forgive that. Even if the thinker says nothing, their presence alone may cause discomfort because it forces people to face their own lack of clarity. Unlike strength or beauty, intelligence is tied directly to our sense of self. We define who we are by our ideas, our beliefs, and our view of the world. When those things are questioned, we don't feel as though an external quality is being challenged. We feel as though our very existence is under threat. This is why people resist deep ideas. It isn't arrogance on the part of the thinker. It is fear in the heart of the listener. You may have noticed this in everyday life. Bring up a serious question in a casual conversation and watch what happens. Silence, nervous laughter, or a sudden change of topic. Most people will do anything to escape depth. Why? Because depth destabilizes comfort, and comfort is what society craves. Neuroscience even supports this. Studies show that when people feel intellectually outmatched, the brain's amygdala, the region responsible for fear and threat detection, lights up as if they were facing a physical danger. In other words, intelligence can trigger the same survival response as a predator in the wild. The smarter you are, the more threatening you appear, even if you intend no harm at all. This reaction is rooted in our evolutionary past. For most of human history, survival depended not on being the smartest, but on being accepted by the tribe. To be excluded was to risk death. And so our brains are wired for belonging, not for truth. When someone introduces uncomfortable truths, they risk disrupting the fragile balance of the group. The group, in turn, reacts defensively, sometimes with hostility, sometimes with ridicule, sometimes with silence. It is in groups that this effect becomes strongest. One-on-one, people can sometimes appreciate a thoughtful perspective, but in a group, social status is at stake. If one person seems too intelligent, others may feel overshadowed. To protect themselves, they undermine or dismiss the thinker. This explains why many intellectuals find private conversations rewarding, but feel out of place in larger gatherings. The more people there are, the more fragile egos are threatened. Psychologists have also identified cognitive biases that amplify this resistance. The Dunning-Kruger effect describes how people with little knowledge often overestimate their ability, while highly intelligent people doubt themselves. This creates tension because those who know little can feel confident and dismissive, while those who know more hesitate and appear uncertain. Confidence, not depth, often wins in social settings. There is also the status quo bias. The mind prefers the familiar over the true. We cling to beliefs not because they are accurate, but because they are comfortable. Then comes the backfire effect. When confronted with evidence that contradicts our views, we don't change our minds, we double down. Deep thinkers encounter this wall again and again. Instead of sparking curiosity, they provoke resistance. Modern technology has made this worse. Social media platforms are designed to reward speed, simplicity, and emotion. An idea must be compressed into a catchy phrase or a 30-second clip to spread. The more complex an idea is, the harder it becomes to translate into viral content. Shallow messages go viral, while nuance sinks. The result is a culture where entertainment is rewarded over enlightenment, where simplicity dominates and thinkers are left unheard. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer saw this clearly. He argued that intelligence is not a gift, but a curse. The more a person understands, the harder it is for them to connect with others. Why? Because most people are guided by what he called the will to live, the drive for pleasure, comfort, and survival. Highly intelligent people, however, often develop what he called the will to truth, a restless desire to understand reality, even when it is uncomfortable. The ordinary person avoids pain, while the thinker pursues truth, even if it leads to pain. This creates a gap that cannot easily be crossed. Where most find meaning in relationships, entertainment, and routine pleasures, deep thinkers often feel disillusioned. They crave discussions about meaning, existence, and reality, but society offers them gossip, distraction, and repetition. Small talk feels like noise, status games feel empty, and polite dishonesty feels suffocating. The thinker wants clarity, but the world prefers illusion. This does not mean that deep thinkers cannot find joy, but it does mean their joy often looks different. Many find comfort in solitude, in books, in art, in reflection. Schopenhauer even suggested that solitude is not a punishment, but a privilege. In the quiet, a thinker can finally breathe, without the constant demand to pretend, to play along, to reduce themselves to fit in. At the same time, thinkers are not doomed to eternal loneliness. There are strategies. One is to seek out like-minded individuals. In every generation, there are small circles, rare friendships, or hidden communities where deep thought is welcome. Books are one way to connect across centuries. When you read Augustine, Pascal, or Dostoevsky, you are entering into conversation with minds who struggled with the same isolation you may feel today. Another strategy is discernment, choosing when and where to share your insights. Not every crowd is ready. Not every moment calls for truth. Sometimes silence is not cowardice but wisdom. By observing society, by learning its rhythms, thinkers can decide when to speak and when to hold back. What emerges from all this is a paradox. Intelligence offers freedom but also isolation. It allows you to see reality more clearly, but clarity often separates you from others. Society does not fear intelligence itself. It fears what intelligence reveals. And those who reveal too much too soon are often pushed aside. If you have ever felt this distance, if you have ever been met with silence after sharing your thoughts, know this: you are not broken. You are simply awake in a world that prefers sleep. You are not alone in your loneliness. Many before you have walked this same path, and many after you will walk it again. The question is not whether society will ever fully embrace deep thinkers. It will not. The question is how thinkers can navigate society while preserving their depth. The answer lies in balance, embracing solitude without bitterness, finding the rare souls who understand, and remembering that rejection is not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of society's fear. The lonely path of deep thinkers is not an easy one, but it is also the path that has given the world its greatest breakthroughs, its most profound insights, and its rarest glimpses of truth. If you walk this path, take heart. The world may resist you now, but history has always shown that today's outcasts often become tomorrow's visionaries.